Hey my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as usual, I like to start off every morning with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. In my all-time favorite coffee mug with the quote of the century by Oscar Wilde, "Life is too important to be taken seriously." There you have it, folks. So today's topic is the Imperial Court system. Specifically the Imperial Court of New York. Now, for those of you who don't know what the organization is, it's been around for decades, like over 50 years, over 70 chapters all over the USA, Canada. Each individual chapter is a 501c3 nonprofit fundraising organization that raises money for other gay and AIDS-related organizations. So the Imperial Court of New York, which I'm a proud member of, each year you have elected monarchs, which is basically like the emperor and empress that represent the chapter, the city at large. And it's essentially like being Miss America, where you're like traveling the nation, because each individual chapter has their own emperor and empress that reign for a year. Traditionally speaking, the empress is usually a male in drag. Not always, you have female empresses, you have emperors are usually gay males, but you also have lesbians that take on that role. So depending on how you identify within your chapter, there's no set formula to it. Each chapter has its own different way of doing things. Like in certain ones, every year when you have the night of the coronation, there are certain chapters where you don't find out till that night who actually wins, and you could have up to 3 candidates for each position. Now, in the Imperial Court of New York, our annual ball is called Night of 1,000 Gowns. And because it's such a big to-do, we find out well in advance. So even though the ball is traditionally at the end of March, you find out the September before who's going to be the next emperor and empress. So I was the 15th elected empress. I think we're up to number going on 35. I was the Latina Empress of Decadence and Style, number 15. My emperor was Damien Valentino, the bad boy emperor of love and temptation. And we had an amazing time. It really was like being Miss America for a year. Like, I think I ended up going to close to 20 out-of-town coronations, which meant that many weekends I was on a plane flying somewhere in the States or Canada and representing New York City. And basically, and drag the entire weekend from the out-of-town show to the coronation itself to the victory brunch the next day. And, it really was this amazing, wonderful, almost like a fraternity, for lack of a better term, where, you had this sense of community where, throughout the nation, you had emperors and empresses and, we all got along well. And, of course, like any other nonprofit fundraising organization, sometimes there's a little bit of politics involved and people not getting along with one another. But, by and large, what the organization does as a whole is amazing. You raise money and you get to perform if that's your thing. Not everyone does. I was able to put my love of performing in drag and traveling and fundraising all together and doing good for the community and for the nation at large, for lack of a better term. And it really was the most amazing year of my life. I met wonderful people all over. Some of my dearest friends that are still in my life, I met through this organization, through all the traveling that I did, or even just people within New York City themselves, within my own chapter. I'm not as heavily involved as I was at one point. I started back in 1992. I was Empress 2001 to 2002. Here it is going on 20 years later. And I periodically will go to an event. I haven't been to the ball in a couple of years. Actually, in about a year is going to be my double decade walk. So I'm definitely going to be there because I get my 4 or 5 minutes on stage to do something. So, I'll do what I always do, which is perform and have a couple of backup dancers and, state something fierce. I don't know what yet. Actually, I do, but I'm not going to let that secret out. You will have to go there again, our ball is called Night of a Thousand Gowns. It's coming up, I believe, at the end of this March. The exact date I want to say is like the 28th. It's always like usually that last Saturday of March. And again, it's great. You get to raise money, you get to meet people, you get to do good. So I'm sure, hopefully there are emperors and empresses out there watching this, and I tell me, is your experience great? Are you able to like get through all the bullshit politics of it and just do what we're there to do, which is raise money and, give back to the community? Because to me, that was what it was all about. And, some of the pettiness that sometimes goes along with it, I try not to engage in that, because really, what's the point? So, but hopefully any monarchs out there or any court members, even if you're not a monarch listening to this, leave your comments. Like, is the experience that you're having as wonderful as mine was? I wouldn't trade that in for the world. I may not be as involved as I once was, but that year of my life was probably the most amazing year of my life because of everything, all the traveling that I did and just all the good that we did as an organization. So the Imperial Court of New York, check it out. They have a website, icny.org, I believe. And then the Imperial Court System, for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's a well-worth organization that maybe your city might have a chapter. Maybe you want to get involved and give back to the community. It is all in the name of fundraising. So that's my 2 cents on that. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I love you guys. Fiona's Coffee Talks. Don't forget, subscribe and hit that notification button. Bye, and bye to all of my beautiful monarchs, emperors and empresses, my brothers and sisters all over the nation.